Rob Faulkner farms in partnership with his sister and brother-in-law on Wairakaia Station. Within the multi-stranded operation, Rob's focus is on livestock and forestry. We visited in April this year to find out about the station's involvement in a Beef and Lamb New Zealand project on introducing legumes to non-cultivatable hill country. While this has been done elsewhere in New Zealand, it's not been trialled before combining pastoral grazing with farm forestry.
This block was established after Cyclone Bowler. It was planted 27 years ago. It was an eroding, steep northerly block that could only carry 5 stock units a hectare, and my father made the decision to plant it then.
The Mackendie logging have done an exceptional job here with tidying up the cutover, minimal tracking up on the hills.
It was planted under the East Coast Forestry scheme, so it has to be replanted within 2 years. So what we've decided to do is to burn this block and then to give it a month, get some more weed germination, spray it again, and then oversow it with legumes, being subs and annual clovers, and then we'll be able to graze that in the spring, let that clover go to seed in the next summer, and then we'll replant the pine trees next winter. We're hoping to graze that with ewes and lambs every spring, and the idea behind it is if we can, by the grazing it, we can pay for the re-establishment of the trees and the silviculture, and so we're not incurring those costs till harvest time.
Initially we were engaged by Wairakaia Station to carry out all the pre-harvest work on this woodlot. So that included the forest inventory, so the measuring of the trees to get an estimate of volume and grade mix. We completed the harvest plan, which for this woodlot was pretty straightforward, and then the resource consent application. And from that data, the inventory data and the harvest plan, we're able to work out a reasonably accurate stumpage calculation, so net return to the forest owner. By doing that pre-harvest work, we can work out, given the current log prices, roughly what they're going to make out of their block. One factor is roading and skid cost. This block here has been very well chosen by the Faulkners, planted right next to the road here, so their engineering costs have been minimal. It's when those blocks are planted 3 k's out on a dirt road that costs can really escalate. Distance to the port, that's a big one as well. You know, we're very close, we're 20 k's here to the Eastland port, so that cartage cost is, you know, if you're 100 k's, it's at least double, obviously. So yeah, site, distance from port, and then site characteristics in terms of growing the trees. The minimal sort of tracking across slope up here has been very well done by the harvesting contractor. We've got a haul track along the bottom of both slopes, and so yeah, the damage to the soil up on the slopes has been minimal, and therefore it's going to benefit Rob when replanting in grass and then trees.
The whole idea, because there's been a shift in the fattening country, we're getting pushed more and more back into the hills because our flats are so expensive and into cropping or in other areas dairy. So we're having to finish livestock in the hill country, which requires a higher legume content in some cases, and we're just trying to prove if this is a viable way of doing it. That's part of the trial, to see if it is economical to do it. The paddock behind me, we sprayed out December over a year ago, and then let it summer fallow, and then sprayed it out mid-March and planted 7th of April, and got a very good establishment. Grazed it last spring, and then shut it up in October, let it go to seed, produced over 600 kilos of seed a hectare of hard seed, and that's our seed bank going forward. It's been tried as far as taking forestry and putting it back into pasture, but not putting it back into trees. We're hoping to get 7 or 8 years of grazing. Initially it'll be at a higher stocking rate, and then it'll gradually come down. With the burn off, we have to get the prevailing wind the right way, and it'll be done with a helicopter. We'll have to have consents from the local council and just wait till the conditions are right. We're just trying to get rid of a bit of the trash and open it up a bit so we can get better establishment with our legumes, and we'll also put on fertiliser as well to try and sweeten it up a bit. So here we are in the beginning of April. 10 days ago we sprayed this with a helicopter just to take out any of the weeds, competition I guess, and to let that seed re-establish. So we'll be grazing this paddock by end of August, I say, and it'll be sort of 30 centimetres high then, and we'll have say 10 to 12 twinning ewes a hectare on it. It's early days in the trial, so this year we'll start getting some production data on weight gains and how heavy we can stock it. It's going to be a long-term project. It's quite exciting really, when you're sort of pushing the boundaries and you sort of get involved with scientists and they can give you some real factual data and growth rates, and it is really exciting.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.